Imagine a time long before the Romans conquered vast territories, before emperors sat upon gilded thrones, and before the city of Rome dominated the ancient world. Imagine a small village perched on the banks of the Tiber River, surrounded by 7 hills, with nothing but ambition and a legend to guide its future. This is where the story of Rome begins. Every great city has a legendary beginning, and Rome's is as drastic as they come. According to ancient lore, the city was found by twin brothers, Romulus and Remus. Born of Mars, the god of war, and a mortal princess, the twins were abandoned as infants by the river's edge. Left to die, they were instead rescued by a she-wolf, who nurtured them until they were discovered by a shepherd. Raised in the wild, the brothers grew strong and fierce, and their bond was as unbreakable as their will to survive. But fate had a dark twist in store. As adults, Romulus and Remus quarreled over where to establish a new city. The argument escalated until Romulus, in a fit of rage, killed his brother. He would go on to found the city of Rome, naming it after himself. The violent nature of Rome's foundation, born in bloodshed and fratricide, seemed to foreshadow the city's future, one marked by conquest, conflict, and domination. According to legend, Romulus became Rome's first king, ruling the fledgling city with the same iron will that would characterize Rome's rise to power. While the story of Romulus and Remus is captivating, Rome's actual origins are more complex and grounded in reality. The site that would become Rome was initially inhabited by Latin-speaking people around 1000 BCE. The strategic location of the settlement played a crucial role in its early survival and growth. Nestled among the 7 hills, Rome had natural defenses, making it difficult for enemies to conquer. The Tiber River provided a fresh source of water, means of transportation, and access to trade routes, all of which were essential for the early community's development. But Rome didn't grow in isolation. It was surrounded by other peoples, most notably the Etruscans to the north and the Sabines in the nearby hills. These neighboring cultures influenced Rome in its formative years, contributing to its architectural styles, religious practices, and even elements of its political system. The Etruscans, in particular, played a significant role in shaping Rome's early culture. Their influence can be seen in everything from the construction of Rome's first major infrastructure projects, like the Cloaca Maxima, the city sewer system, to the adoption of religious rituals and symbols. Rome's early history is often overshadowed by its later republican and imperial periods, but the Roman kingdom laid the foundations for its future greatness. According to tradition, Rome was ruled by a series of 7 kings, starting with Romulus. Each king contributed something unique to the city's growth, whether it was through military conquest, religious reform, or political innovation. One of the most notable early rulers was Numa Pompilius, the second king of Rome. Who is primarily remembered for his martial prowess, Numa was a man of peace. He's credited with establishing many of Rome's religious and cultural institutions, including the position of the Pontifex Maximus, which became the highest religious office in Rome. Numa's reign brought stability and order to the young city, ensuring that Rome's power wasn't based solely on military strength, but also on religious and civic unity. Another key figure was Servius Tullius, the 6th king of Rome, who was said to have reformed the Roman social and political system. He divided Roman society into classes based on wealth and military capacity, laying the groundwork for the Republic's complex social hierarchy. Under his rule, the city expanded, and the construction of the first city walls, known as the Servian Walls, began, protecting the growing population. But the reigns of kings would not last. The final king of Rome, Tarquin the Proud, was a tyrant whose oppressive rule led to widespread discontent. In 509 BCE, the Roman people rose up in rebellion, overthrowing Tarquin and ending the monarchy. This marked the beginning of one of Rome's most defining periods, the Roman Republic. With the fall of the monarchy, Rome embarked on a new political experiment, the Republic. Rather than being ruled by a single king, power would now be shared between the elected officials and the Senate. The new system was designed to prevent any one person from gaining too much power, a lesson learned from the tyranny of Tarquin. At the heart of the Republic was the concept of shared governance. The most powerful officials in the Republic were the 2 consuls, elected annually. They held executive authority, leading Rome's armies in times of war and overseeing the administration of the state in times of peace. But their power was limited. No single council could make a decision without the agreement of the other, ensuring a system of checks and balances. Rome's Senate, composed of aristocratic landowners known as patricians, played a crucial role in shaping the Republic's policies. While the Senate wasn't an elected body, its members wielded significant influence, advising the consuls and controlling Rome's finances and foreign affairs. The early Republic was not without its own challenges, though. Rome was surrounded by hostile neighbors, each vying for control of the Italian peninsula. The Latin League, a coalition of neighboring tribes, frequently clashed with Rome, as did the powerful Etruscans to the north. However, Rome's military discipline and tactical innovations, like the organizing of the Roman legion, allowed it to gradually overcome these rivals. Rome's early expansion wasn't driven solely by conquest, though. Diplomacy played an equally important role. Rome often forged alliances with defeated enemies, granting them limited citizenship rights and military protection in exchange for loyalty. This strategy, known as Romanization, helped integrate conquered people into the Roman state, creating a more unified and powerful entity. Despite its successes, the Republic was marked by deep social division. Roman society was divided into two main classes: the patricians, who were the wealthy aristocrats, and the plebeians, the common people. While the patricians dominated politics and controlled most of the important offices, the plebeians initially had little say in government. This inequality led to the conflict of the orders, a centuries-long struggle between the two classes. Over time, the plebeians won significant concessions, including the establishment of the office of the tribune of the plebs, which allowed them to elect their own representatives. These tribunes had the power to veto laws that were harmful to the plebeian class, ensuring a greater degree of fairness in Roman politics. The Roman Republic's government was unique for its time, blending elements of democracy, oligarchy, and monarchy. The consuls represented the monarchical element, the Senate represented the oligarchy, and the popular assemblies, where citizens voted on laws and elected officials, provided a democratic element. This system of government allowed Rome to remain flexible and adaptable as it expanded. While it wasn't perfect and often favored the wealthy, it provided a level of stability that allowed Rome to grow from a small city-state into a dominant force in Italy. Rome's cultural and religious identity was heavily influenced by its neighbors, particularly the Greeks and the Etruscans. Roman religion was a mix of native traditions and borrowed deities. The Roman pantheon included gods like Jupiter, Mars, and Venus, whose characteristics closely mirrored those of the Greek gods like Zeus, Ares, and Aphrodite. Religious rituals were a central part of Roman life, with priests and augurs interpreting the will of gods through omens and sacrifices. Public religious festivals, such as the Saturnalia, played a vital role in uniting the people and reinforcing social cohesion. Rome's early history is filled with wars, but also a story of diplomacy and strategic alliances. After suffering a devastating sack by the Gauls in 390 BCE, Rome learned the importance of fortification and military readiness. The city quickly rebuilt itself, stronger and more determined than ever. From then on, Rome approached expansion with a mix of military might and savvy diplomacy. In many cases, Rome offered defeated enemies a place within its system, giving them a stake in the Roman project. This approach of integrating conquered people set Rome apart from other ancient powers, which often enslaved or just annihilated their foes. By the 4th century BCE, Rome had become the dominant power in central Italy, and it was clear that the small village by the Tiber was destined for greatness. Through a combination of military prowess, political innovation, and cultural adaptation, Rome laid the foundation for what would eventually become one of the greatest empires the world has ever known. Rome's path was not without struggle, but the city's resilience and ability to learn from both its victories and its defeats set it apart. With the Punic Wars and the conquest of the Mediterranean on the horizon, Rome was poised to transform from a regional power into a global empire. So what do you think? Was Rome's rise inevitable, or did it come down to the choices made by its leaders? Well, let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for the next chapter of Rome's epic story.